Are you ready? Did you light the candle? Okay, let's start the ritual. Welcome to Intuitively Wild, the podcast. I'm your host, Rachel. This is a space where truth gets its voice back because shame loses its power when we speak to it. Here, we don't skip the hard parts. We sit with them and we learn to hold ourselves inside them. This podcast is ritual in audio form, a way for us to bring intention and intuition back into our everyday. Let's dig into our roots and go deep. Okay, everyone, welcome to the podcast and welcome to our monthly ritual of sitting down to reflect on the month that has passed and set intentions for the month to come. And as we've been doing, my mom is joining me. And we're going to move through our similar structure that if you've been here, you might remember. We do our greatest lessons from the month, what we are proud of ourselves for the month, or what we appreciate about ourselves if we're struggling with the pride piece, and what we are grateful for. And then we will do what we are shedding, releasing, and then our intentions for the month ahead, which is April, which is so crazy. And when this comes out, it will be the second week in April or the second Wednesday in April, because the first Wednesday is going to be a little recap on the opening ceremony, which you guys would have listened to last week. So this is coming out a week later than it usually does, but nonetheless, I'm very excited to be here with everyone and with my mom. Um,
Very excited to be here as well.
March was a big month for me, at least.
Oh yeah.
Lots happened, but do you wanna go first, Mom, with your biggest lesson from March?
You go first.
Okay,
I'm still thinking of mine.
I'll go first. So, I mean, I'm sure there's so many things I could say, but a lot happened in March, and some was unexpected, some was expected, but all was unexpected in the way I would feel, I guess. Um, a mantra, and I've said this to my mom, but mantra that came to me in the last few weeks that I've really been holding on to is everything is on time, I am ready, and nothing can go wrong. And that's been like in on repeat in my head every single day, all the time, no matter what. Like everything is on time, I am ready, and nothing can go wrong. And I've been applying it to every single aspect of my life. And you know what? It's felt really true. And even when things have go wrong, like I was sitting in my therapist's office recently and very overwhelmed and just going through all these fears and anxieties and worst case scenarios, and then we went through this mantra of everything is on time, I'm ready, and nothing can go wrong. And I was like, okay, let's apply this to all these things. Like if these worst case scenarios were to happen, I can trust that everything is on time, I'm ready, and nothing can go wrong. And one of those things did happen, and I'm actually great. Like I'm totally fine. I'm actually glad it happened. And it's just, yeah. So I don't know. I guess my biggest lesson is like everything is on time, I'm ready, nothing can go wrong. And
There you go. It's a
just
big
feels,
lesson.
that just feels really, really true. And
Right.
I think also, speaking of that, everything is on time and I'm ready, really just like trusting my intuition with timing, because I also knew like when I felt so strongly about when I wanted to open Intuitively Wild and not opening in the winter and waiting until the spring equinox, and just feeling, just knowing, being in tune with myself intuitively. And again, I've that's been really reaffirmed for me recently. So yeah, trust your intuition. Those are my lessons. Could go
Well,
on, but yeah.
yeah, no, I love that. I think my biggest lesson from March. So in entering into March, I was really intentional about my relationship with change and my historically kind of fearful energy around it. And I was committed to working through that and embracing it and, sort of not resisting it. And it really made the month, which had a lot of change, much of it absolutely magical and miraculous. Um, but no matter the sort of shape of the change, that really embracing it with confidence and trust and self-trust has just been very empowering and enlightening and freeing. And so it was, you know, just a really interesting and um, growth giving month for me. Um, and yeah, I want to really, really embody this sort of cultivating relationship I'm working on with embracing change and accepting it and being curious about it and not resisting it because it definitely made this month just a very, very um beautiful experience.
Yeah. And just one through line in that came up for me is how I feel like both of us really were embracing some of our biggest fears this past month. And the more that we embrace the fears and just like walk, keep walking strongly through the fire, it's very freeing. And it doesn't
Absolutely.
make the fear necessarily go away or any less intense, but it does show you that you can survive the fear, and it's very rewarding to do so.
Right, I agree. And that there's so much to grow from when you look at the fear as from that perspective,
Mhm.
that it is not something that needs to be resisted and pushed away and stifling, but that it sometimes means, on the other side of that is something really beautiful that you didn't expect.
Yes. All right. So next is what we appreciate about ourselves or what we are proud of from March. Um, I mean, I guess along those lines, I appreciate that I walked through a lot of fears this month.
You did.
I really got very clear on what I want and who I am and what I'm devoted to. And every single action that I took this month was in devotion to that. And I really didn't let my fear hold me back from pretty much anything this month. And I said yes to a lot of things that in the past would have been near impossible for me to say yes to. And I really chose to be confident in myself. There are things that a lot of situations that arrived in March that in the past I would have felt very insecure or shy or anxious or just uncertain and kind of like hidden away. And this month I really just like owned who I am. And regardless of how others might perceive it or judge it or respond to it. And I appreciate that about myself.
Absolutely. I appreciate that in you too. And that kind of relates it my turn
Yeah, well, the
to
last thing I was going to say is that
okay.
even I did that even, pr when before I knew how people would respond and even after people responded and it wasn't always how I would have wanted them to respond. I still very much stayed true to myself and stayed confident in myself. And it wasn't a forced or faked thing, which I think really part of that is just practice and timing.
Yeah, I mean that really is I think the true test of deepening one's confidence is it's easier to do it when you're not sure it may turn out the way you want. But when you know that there's some disappointment involved and you have to kind of like shift and recognize that and you remain confident, um, that is very powerful. And I got to witness that, if I may. I feel that. So for me, what I appreciate in myself is kind of related to what I said in the beginning, where I tried to implement what I desired to do in terms of being more accepting of change and leaning into it and looking to connect with, the growth, and embracing the joy and learning from the pain, and kind of to just go into a little bit more of self appreciation was, because it's a challenge for me, is when um, the people I love, in particular my children, even though they are very confident and, um, you know, fully formed adults, always the mom and always wanting to fix. And, um, and it wasn't really hard for me to step out of your way. So I appreciate that I didn't do that, and I stepped out of your way. And the reason why, I mean, I had help, because all I had to do was really appreciate what was in front of me and the way you were dealing with it. And so, that tendency to want to come in and fix is still there. So I did have to, process that and work through it. But witnessing and observing your increased confidence made it very easy, or easier, and
Yeah,
really
and to
helped. Yeah,
be, I guess I also want to say that what we're referring to in the disappointment realm is not related to work. It was a more personal thing. Yeah.
exactly. And I think that it it just deepens our relationship, and it allows me to understand the countless ways in which you are just continuing to become this incredible woman. And I
Mm.
learned from that. But I appreciated myself that I didn't regress to old habits of just wanting to smooth everything over.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes. I have something to say, but maybe we'll leave it for after the recording. And then gratitude. I mean, for me, my gratitude is just around the opening, the and intuitively wild. I'm so grateful for everyone who came to the opening ceremony and the open house or reached out about it and who's trying to make plans to come and all the people who helped make intuitively wild possible. I'm just feeling so, so grateful. In obviously, I'm sure that there were judgments or criticisms or whatever, but I feel really positive about how everything's going so far. I'm really excited about Intuitively Wild and like that. I'm so grateful for how supportive everyone has been to my face at least. And from the community. And yeah, I'm just feeling a lot of gratitude around friends and family and strangers who I've just met and locals in the community and um, how supportive and encouraging everyone has been. So overwhelming gratitude for that.
Well, you mentioned the opening of Intuitively Wild, and I could talk for hours about my feelings about that. I Are we doing that here, or are we doing a separate podcast all about the opening?
Well, I did a podcast last week with Ari about the opening ceremony. We can touch on the open house a bit here because that was just this past weekend.
Yes.
So we can talk about it a little bit.
Okay. So I have so much gratitude for you, and for, I mean, truly, the the embodiment of this um space, this mission, this passion, these offerings, um, and how you brought this to life. And having been at the opening both days from beginning to end, I can tell you, and having the luxury of, I mean, you're working very hard, and I was a very mediocre assistant with some things.
You were a very helpful assistant.
Mostly what I got to do was to just observe and experience this.
And I just want to say, for those who don't know, this past weekend, the 28th and 29th of March, I had my open house. So we were just open 11:30 to 4 for people to come in and have tea and tea lattes and hang out and get to know the space. So that's what my mom is talking about.
Right. And what I'd like to clarify is, so this space has been something that you have worked on for a very, very long time, and it has been very important to you to have it enliven all the values and energies of Intuitively Wild. And I've known that it has for a long time, but what I got to observe was that every person who walked through that door, whether we knew them or not previously, had almost like this visceral connection to the place, and would oftentimes, and I don't know if you know, have the time to really hear this or witness it, but they would exclaim things like, this is amazing. This place feels special. And then they would go on. So it was very genuine, very authentic. Um, and what was also a thrill for me. So I guess I'm very grateful that I had the honor to witness this open house, because I also got to see you in your environment. I've seen you and participated in ceremonies, which I could talk forever about and are the most beautiful phenomena. And what I got to see this weekend was you welcoming people into your world and offering your self and your magic to them in a way that was so seamless and so natural, as if you've been doing it for a very, very long time. And what it allowed me to appreciate at a level that deeper than I could have imagined was that this truly is a calling. You've worked incredibly hard. I mean, there's no words to describe how hard you've worked. And and also it it's been your path. So it's been so aligned. And this weekend, that all just sort of came to life. And you made people feel immediately warm and welcomed and comfortable. And it was just the most beautiful experience. And I am endlessly proud of you, and also infinitely grateful for you and your and Intuitively Wild.
Thank you, mommy. I do want to say it felt very good and very like I felt like but again, it really comes back to trusting the timing because I would not have been able to show up in this way even like a few weeks ago, like it really all, but it felt like trusting my intuition, trusting the timing of my path, and like allowed me to now just like show up to this moment and feel like it really, like I just like the puzzle piece just like clicked into
But
place.
isn't that, but that's what's so incredible about this whole thing, because that is your whole, I mean, that is very much at the center of your purpose, is to help people, individuals, strengthen their connection to themselves so that they can tune into what feels aligned. And then you did that, and you did that with risk. You do that in your life all the time, and you did it with the opening of this space. And so it really is kind of this perfect circle of, sort of putting into action and bringing to life these values that you talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I really think like in order for this business to be what I want it to be, I have to embody, like I have to show up authentically. I have to embody the essence of what I have to walk the walk. And
Exactly.
this felt
That was
really,
the phrase I kept coming up with, but I was trying to use other words, but that's what it is.
yeah, I
And
mean,
that's
that just felt, and this felt like proof and affirmation of that for me because again, I think if I had I had a lot of pressure and judgment around like that I was placing on myself of like, oh, I should open earlier. I need to do it in this way or show up in this way. And truly, if I had done any of that, it would have felt very forced. It would have like it wouldn't have felt ready. Like it wouldn't have felt good. It wouldn't have come off well. Um, so it's just testament to really trust yourself and trust your
it
timing.
really is.
Say it again and
And
again.
it's
Um,
again and again.
but yeah, I think that a lot of that comes down to confidence and trust. But the rituals and work we're going to be doing in Intuitively Wild is what is going to help all of us embrace that more. But
Mm,
moving on
okay.
to what we are shedding, releasing for from March for April. Um, for me, it I mean, definitely continuing to shed that fear, but I think anything that I want to I want to shed anything like any like expectations or judgments or pressure that I'm putting on myself around how things should be or how things should be going or just a lot of fears that things aren't going to work out or I want it needs to go in this way or and specifically related to Intuitively Wild and this first full month open like I really want to let go of I don't want to be so hard on myself. Yeah.
Lord, you. I support that
Mhm.
100%. Um, so during the opening ceremony, we journaled about what we're shedding,
Yeah.
what we'd like to shed. So I have reflected on it a lot, and it really did come down with your guidance. I helped to clarify it, and it really is, you know, a letting go or a defining of the fear of uncertainty. And, so it is it's a theme that comes up repeatedly, but it has different versions in different situations. But I think that um, so much transpired this month was definitely, one of these in between times that had lots and lots of thresholds. And um, by when I got caught up in the fear of not knowing what would be, um, that things felt off, they felt forced, and I got into old habits of rumination when I could shed more and more the fear as a paralyzing construct and allow it to just, you know, wash over me and continue to accept things as they come more in the moment. The freedom came over me and brought such beautiful realizations and experiences and deepened certain relationships and just really really made so yeah, so continuing to shed fear as a paralyzing structure construct.
Beautiful. Love it. Um, and my intention for April, oh, listen. We had the harshest winter. It was cold.
No joke.
I embraced it, you know. I was like I'm a seasonal gal. I live winters now. I did not complain.
Yeah,
I
I have to say, I was just blown away by how you dealt with this winter, being somebody who had not that long ago chased summer everywhere,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Theo and I walked. If it was 19 degrees and above, I got a new winter jacket, new winter boots. I did the thing and did it. I think I did it pretty well. And
Oh,
now
you
it's
did great.
spring. Now it is spring and it's starting to get warm. And I am about to have the best spring and summer physically possible because I say so. And my intentions joy.
There
My
you go.
my word for the year for 2026 is devotion. And this month, I am so devoted to joy, to embodying it, to spreading it, to cultivating it. And I mean, my biggest intention is bringing that to Intuitively Wild and focusing on the offers there and the community growing there and showing up as fully as I possibly can with joy and with presence and with intention. And um, that's, and, you know, no matter what happens, everything, nothing, everything is, what's,
As it is supposed to be, right? Wait, what is your mantra?
yeah,
Remind me.
that's what I'm trying to say. Everything is on, everything is on
On time.
time. I am ready and nothing can go wrong.
There you go.
So that's April.
Well, and I'd like, and my intentions just to kind of elaborate on that. I mean, they're very similar for different, perhaps different reasons, but want to embrace joy. But I want to, I want to appreciate that everything is enough, that there's abundance. And this is, we could do a whole podcast on this idea of enoughness, but I really, you know, have been thinking about that a lot, and just with spring and the excitement of new beginnings and new possibilities, you know, it's easy to start to form expectations. And I think it's I want to not, I want to discern between knowing my heart's desire and wanting, and I'm feeling as though I need to yearn for more, and understanding when what is exactly as it should be, but that it's beautiful and enough. And so so I want to do that and continue to bring into spring my curiosity about change and my um, sort of attitude or approach toward it as, what does it reveal? What may have been kind of hidden, you know, or repressed in some way, that now the change is stirring up some kind of discovery. Um, and to be excited about that. So I'm excited about the blooms, and I'm like, just, you know, that are happening in nature, but I'm also excited about novelty and new beginnings.
Yay, spring.
Yay, spring.
All right. Well, I think that that's us done. We're actually going to be doing a second duo episode of the month that will come out next week, talking about something very special that we're excited about. So tune in for that. But Mom, thank you for being here. Everyone, thank you for listening. I would love to hear what your reflections are from March and your intentions for April. And I hope you'll all join me in having the best spring ever. And I hope to see you at Intuitively Wild. Check out our full schedule. We are fully open. So I really hope to see you there. And I will see.
And you can get the best turmeric latte ever.
Yes, you can. Or any tea latte that you want.
I'm still dreaming about the turmeric latte you made me.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Um, all right, everyone, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Intuitively Wild, the podcast. I hope it helped deepen your connection to yourself, sparked some insights, and inspired you to live intuitively wild. If you enjoyed this podcast, it would mean so much to me if you would share it with others and leave a rating and review. And please reach out to me. I would love to connect with you. I will see you next time for more magic.